So it is currently my birthday. I am now 22 years old and I have woken up to an amazing present from my girlfriend Jen, which I have wanted for a couple months now, and I've just been like constantly binge watching videos about it and just getting really excited. And I had no idea she was going to buy this for me because she's been saying like she doesn't have enough money, and she was just gonna, you know, get me the film for it instead. And I was just like really excited for the film so that I can buy it myself. And then she decided to surprise me with getting it herself because she's sneaky like that. But I am so excited to use this, and I thought I would just make this like a first impressions, like first use sort of video. And also, sorry if the audio quality is not great right now. I do have my windows open because it is absolutely boiling. The thing that Jen got me is this here. But this is the Lomography Lomograflok 4x5 instant back, and I saw one of these about a year ago and I thought it was really cool, but I didn't look much more into it as I had only just started shooting 4x5 film, and I didn't really, you know, see the need for this as I could develop film at uni. And I wasn't able to develop 4x5 film at home until very recently. I've recently bought a Patterson Orbital color print processor, which you can actually use to develop 4x5 and 8x10 film, which is really cool. And I should have a video of that coming out either before this or after this, I'm not too sure. But the one thing that I can't really do with that is develop color film, because color film is just so expensive for 4x5, and I wanted to still be able to shoot color film, and I also wanted to be able to get high quality instant film photos, and this is just the perfect in-between because it's Instax wide film, and while it's not as big as a 4x5 frame, it's still pretty big. But anyway, so I do have the back here. It's now got its batteries in it, and it's now got the film in it, but I'm yet to eject it because I wanted to do that on camera. So here we go. I think it might do it automatically. Okay, no, it doesn't do it automatically, but I'm gonna just press this button here and it will come out. So how cool is that? I can now shoot Instax wide film using my Intrepid 4x5. So I'm really excited about this, and I'm gonna go take some test shots right now. I think I might do a first one just here in my bedroom and then go up to the garden since the light is quite flat, and that's realistically what you need with this film, because Instax film is very unforgiving, it has very little dynamic range, and it's super contrasty. And if you don't know, I've worked a lot with Instax film because I made a whole zine about like Instax and instant film, which was really, really fun to create. But it really wasn't fun with how low the dynamic range is and how easy the shadows drop off and how easy the highlights get blown out. You really have to nail your exposure, and if you don't do that, then you've got an image that is practically unusable. What I'm really excited about with this is it lets you use all manual controls. That's something that, you know, Instax haven't done themselves. Like, they've never done anything like that. You can only get cameras for Instax wide that have full manual controls from like Mint and now Lomography. I think they actually did have one before that had like manual controls, I'm not too sure. Now I'm able to shoot Instax on my 4x5, so that's just super, super cool. But anyway, let's just take some photos. Right, so she's out of frame, but I've got my lovely model Jen sat on the bed, and she's the one that bought me this. It's really, really cool. I'm now gonna take her portrait, and what we need to do first is put in this film insert, because this film insert makes it so you can focus on the right plane as this Instax back, because with usual film holders you don't need to do that because the film is in the right place. But with this, you need to put the insert in, so then the focus plane is put back a bit, so then it's at the same level with the film, and then you can focus. And this whole process is a bit tedious, but it's going to be so worth it once we get the photo. Right, so I've just metered and got my light meter reading. I've had to use my camera to do it because I don't own a light meter, which is a bit annoying, but it works. So I know my settings that I got to do. Now I just need to put the focusing shift, whatever it's called, I don't know what it's called, the spacer in to be able to compose this image and focus and all of that, and then I can take a photo. Oh whoa, that you can actually get like a good idea of what the frame's going to look like. I was not expecting that. It sort of like changes, because you're putting a spacer in, it actually makes it a bit more compressed as well, so that's quite cool. Might try and use some movement so it makes a bit more of a unique image. So now I think I just clip this on. Doesn't seem very light tight, but it's in the lock. We'll just test it and see if it works. 3, 2, 1. Let's see. That's bigger than I thought it was going to be. There we go. First image. Not sure if it's going to work though, because it seems very, very loose on the back. I don't know why that is, but oh, it's worked. It's worked. Oh my God. And as you can see, the image did work, and I'm actually really happy with this one. I was super worried that I was going to ruin this pack of film, since the Lomography back was really loose on the back of my 4x5 camera. And I don't know why that happened, because every other time that I used it in this video, it was completely fine. But anyway, the image worked, and that is all that matters. In the scans that I made of these images, you can't really get a good idea of how sharp they actually are. But in person, it is by far the sharpest Instax photo or instant photo in general that I have ever seen, even, you know, better than a SX70 or a Polaroid i2 or whatever they are. The exposure was a bit off, which I thought was a little bit weird since I metered for a perfect balance between highlights and shadows, as obviously the dynamic range isn't very good, but for some reason the highlights still ended up being overexposed. Like I mentioned, I used some camera movements for this image, specifically a little bit of front tilt just to make the image that little bit more unique, and I just love how it turned out. Anyway, after this photo, I headed outside to get another one. Right, so I'm going to do a photo outside. It's a lot brighter out here, so the setting's going to be very, very different. But what's quite nice is we can now use a higher shutter speed instead of 1/30th of a second. And to be fair, I feel like I could have gone a bit darker than that in the first image. But yes, we've got Jen here being the model again, and we've got a couple cats around. One's behind the camera, one just ran across, one's there, and one's in the greenhouse. So we've got quite a few cats around, so they may appear in the image, which would be quite nice. Yeah, I'm gonna, do this the exact same as I done last time. Hopefully I don't have to focus twice because I accidentally moved the focusing. And yeah, I'm hoping to make a nice image, but I'm gonna be a bit off camera. Jen's gonna be just sat here, so you get an amazing view of her, and I'm sure she loves that. So yeah. So for this image, I'm actually going to do it portrait orientation this time. I was just composing it in landscape orientation, but I think portrait wise looks so much better. So I'm going to do that instead. And if my cat Skylar stays there, hopefully she can be in frame, but I'm not sure if she will. Also with this image, I am going to underexpose it just a slight bit, because the last one, I had it exposed perfectly, and it seemed just a bit too bright. And now 3, 2, 1. Right, and now let's eject this image. You basically just press this little button here. That's the power button. It also stops you from taking the dark side out when it's off. But this is the eject button, and we just go like that. And there's my image. Even though I underexposed this image, it still ended up being overexposed. And this image really shows you how low the dynamic range is of Instax film. The lighting was very flat, and there really wasn't that big of a difference between the highlights and the shadows. But this film made it look like there was a major difference between the highlights and shadows, and while that can be annoying, I actually really like how this image is turned out, and I really like the super contrasty look of this Instax film. After this photo, I then got one of my parents, which was also in the garden, and I used a little bit of swing just to get my mum and my stepdad in focus at the same time. I rarely use swing because I feel like I can never get it right, but I think this image is the closest I have gotten to nailing it. And even though the low dynamic range is very clear in this photo, I do love how the lighting looks. After getting this photo, I then took 2 more over a couple days, and the first one was a close-up of Jen because I wanted to see how this film would look with close-up images. And while the photo did turn out and the lighting looks good, we both weren't really a fan of this image. And the next image is this one of my cat Scraggles when he was curled up in a ball sleeping on my bed. It was super difficult to focus since my room was quite dark and only lit by the fairy lights behind me, which aren't exactly very bright, but I managed to focus well enough to make the image, not look weird and the focus be completely off. A few days after that photo, I brought my Intrepid 4x5 and the Lomographlok back with me when I went to Boltalloch Mine. I wanted to get some landscapes with this setup and I filmed it on my phone, so I'll let you watch that now. Right, I am now in the Cornish countryside. I've taken some portraits. I took a portrait of my cat, but I want to take some landscapes because I've been really interested in taking landscape photos recently, and I've decided to try it because I've been thinking about it for ages, but I haven't tried it yet. But I've now just tried it. I've tried it on my GFX, which is going to be a video in itself, and that video will probably be out before this. Not the biggest fan. I don't like using the GFX for landscapes. I don't know why. I just don't like it, but I can imagine this will be fun because of the process and of the results of Instax film. So I can imagine this will be a lot more fun than what I was doing. And this looks like quite a cool frame right here, actually. Not sold on it just yet. I think this could be quite cool. Nah, it's too cluttered for my liking. But anyway, I've got my 4x5, got my tripod, got my X-T4 to meter the light, which is something that I want to change soon. I want to get myself a proper light meter because I hate having to carry around another camera just to measure the light. These landscapes I'm going to be doing aren't really like landscapes. I just want to take some photos of some things that aren't people, so I'm classing them as landscapes. But I've tried to shoot this here on the GFX. I just couldn't get it right, but I reckon it'd be quite nice on this. Yeah, I've tried to shoot this here. I just couldn't get it right, but I reckon with the extra compression of this camera plus the sort of panoramic format, this here could be quite nice. So I'm going to do that now. Right, so I've metered for the scene. I've composed it. Now it's time to turn this bad boy on. Cock the shutter, got all my settings dialed in. Let's take out the dark slide. Instax back, took the photo, eject. It's so cool. I love this so much. I'm so happy Jen got me this. But yeah, this is Boltalloch. I've actually tried to make several videos here before. I've only actually made one. Yeah, it's an amazing place. It's right on a cliff, and look down there. There are mine shafts or like chimney stack houses things, engine houses, right on a cliff. It's absolutely incredible. But yeah, it's such a cool place to go. It's probably my favourite place in the entirety of Cornwall. And yeah, I just love taking photos here. Once again, everything's set. Turn on the camera. Let me just quickly make sure my lens is closed. Pretty sure I did. I did indeed. That's a bit too wet. It's made me cringe doing this, but you know, I don't really want raindrops on my image. Dark slide coming out. 3, 2, 1. I can't decide if I want to take one more image then leave, or if I should just leave now because my gear is extremely wet and there is a storm coming in, and you know, it looks very moody over there. So yeah, that's actually approaching very, very fast. So I should probably just leave right now, actually. And that was the end of that day. The images aren't as good as I was hoping they would be, but I do like how they turned out. I think the first one is a bit boring, but I do like the one of the engine houses on the cliff. And I really enjoyed shooting landscapes with the Lomographlok, even if the weather was terrible. I'm definitely going to be doing it a lot more in the future, and I think it would be a good idea to make some more videos shooting landscapes with the Lomographlok. Anyway, I still had 2 more photos left in the Lomographlok, so I thought it would be a good idea to get a couple of my nephew. He's only 6, so it was really difficult to get him to stay still long enough for a photo, but I just about managed to do it for this one here. And once again, you can see that the image is overexposed even though I shot this one a whole half stop underexposed. And that was even metering for the highlights. I also used quite a bit of tilt with this image to make it look more interesting, however I didn't realise I used way too much until the image was done developing. For the second photo, I got one of my mum and my nephew because he was being way too hyper and didn't want to sit down unless his nana was with him. So they sat down, I composed the shot, and I got this photo. This was a whole stop underexposed, and I just absolutely love how this turned out. The colours and depth of field are just amazing, and they are so much better than anything that you could get out of a normal Instax wide camera. However, the low dynamic range is really prevalent in this photo, as the highlights on my nephew are completely blown out, but the shadows quickly fade into black. But that was the last photo of my first pack of film using the Lomographlok, and I think it's finally time to talk about my first impressions. And straight away, I can tell you that this is the most fun that I've had while shooting 4x5. It reduces the serious factor of shooting large format and just makes it feel a lot more relaxed. You can definitely create some serious work with this setup, but I think it's better suited for personal photos or more relaxed projects. And the second thing that I can say is the build quality is really good. The back has some weight to it, it's made of plastic but it feels like a high quality strong plastic, and you can just tell that it's going to last for a long time. I did have that issue where the back felt a bit loose, but I never experienced it again, and I think that may have been more of a camera issue rather than a back issue. The simplistic design is also a massive bonus when using this setup. Only having 2 buttons on the back makes the experience so much better, since you don't have to dial in any settings on the back itself. All you have to do is turn it on, take the dark side out, put the dark side in, and then click eject, and you're done. And finally, the image quality that is produced while using this back is just crazy. Thanks to the high quality glass of the large format lenses, the sharpness of the film is just higher than any other instant film I've ever seen. It's obviously not as high as standard 4x5 film, but it's definitely a million times better than a normal Instax wide camera. Overall, if I had to rate this setup, I'd give it a 9 out of 10, and the only thing that is stopping it from being a 10 out of 10 is that it does take quite a while to take a photo since the process is so long. However, if you have a model that can stay still, or you're shooting landscapes, then this won't be an issue for you, and I really recommend getting this product. I'm going to be shooting this like crazy in the near future, and I'm going to make a few more videos, so keep your eyes peeled for those. Anyway, I'll leave the video here. If you've enjoyed it, be sure to like the video, leave a comment and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.